Hey guys, it's me Seren, back with another video. Today is day 11 of Hidden Figures, and today's hidden figure is Bette Davis, who a lot of you might have heard of, but I feel like a lot of people still don't know Bette Davis's name as much as they should, and I feel like we don't talk about her as much as we should, and she very recently passed away on February 9th, so just this week. So there's actually a lot of really good information that's out and about her right now, and obviously there will be links in the description box. And I just wanted to do today's hidden figure on Bette Davis. So Bette Davis, born Betty Gray Mabry on July 16th, 1944, and died February 9th, 2022, was an American singer, songwriter, and model, known for her candid personality, wild performance style and fashion, and groundbreaking funk music. She was also the second wife of trumpeter Miles Davis, credited with inspiring his influential jazz fusion era. Betty Mabry was born in Durham, North Carolina. Woo woo, shout out to Durham, that's where my family's from. Betty Mabry was born in Durham, North Carolina on July 16, 1944. She developed an interest in music when she was about 10 and was introduced to various blues musicians through her grandmother, Beulah Blackwell, while staying at her farm in Reidsville. When she was 12, the family relocated to Homestead, Pennsylvania, where her father, Henry Mabry, worked at a steel mill. She decided to pursue a career in show business after watching her father dance. When she was 16, Betty left Homestead for New York City, enrolling at the Fashion Institute of Technology while living with an aunt. She participated in the Greenwich Village culture and folk music of the early 1960s, associating herself with the hip, young, and stylish, and making friends in the music and fashion scene alike. She was an early muse to fashion designer Stephen Burrows, who also studied at FIT at the time, and worked as a model for such designers as Halston, Betsey and Norma Kamali, appearing in photo spreads in 17, Ebony and Glamour. In New York, she met musicians including Jimi Hendrix and Sly Stone, and signed a contract with DCP International label. As Betty Mabry, she recorded her first single, The Cellar, named after a popular club, in 1964, along with Get Ready for Betty and I'm Gonna Get My Baby Back. Around the same time, she recorded a single called I'll Be There with Roy Arlington for Sapphire Records under the joint name Roy and Betty. Her first professional gig came after she wrote Uptown to Harlem for the Chambers Brothers. Their 1967 album was a major success, getting her more jobs as a songwriter. In 1968, she recorded several songs for Columbia Records. Two of them were released as a single, Live, Love, Learn, and It's My Life. Soon after, she began her relationship with Miles Davis, being featured on the cover of his album, Filet de Kilimanjaro. The album included his tribute to her, Mademoiselle Mabry. She introduced him to psychedelic rock, and Filet de Kilimanjaro also represented a shift from Miles Davis into his electric period, where he famously fused jazz and rock. Their tumultuous marriage, with Betty serving as his artistic muse, lasted only a year. In his autobiography, Miles credited Betty with helping to plant the seeds of his musical explorations by introducing him to Jimi Hendrix and Sly Stone. The influence of Hendrix and Stone on Miles Davis was obvious on his album Bitches Brew, which ushered in the era of jazz fusion. In the spring of 1969, Betty returned to Columbia to record a series of demo tracks with Miles and Teo Macero producing. Columbia ultimately passed on the tracks, however, and they were archived into a vault until 2016 when they were released in the compilation The Columbia Years, 1968 through 1969, by Seattle's archival imprint Light in the Attic Records. After the end of her marriage with Miles, Betty moved to London around 1971. She wrote music while abroad and, after about a year, returned to the U.S. to record. She recorded her songs with a group of various West Coast funk musicians that included the Pointer Sisters. Her first record, Bette Davis, was released in 1973, and she wrote and arranged all of her own songs. She released two more studio albums, They Say I'm Different in 1974 and Nasty Gal in 1975. None of the three albums were commercial successes, but they have since been retroactively reviewed as groundbreaking and influential works of funk for their distinct sound, emotional realism, and sexuality, setting the stage for later artists like Prince and Madonna to be overtly sexual. Davis's song, If I'm in Luck, I Might Get Picked Up, served as inspiration for Prince early in his career. Her funky and futuristic space style, reminiscent of Sun Ra, was also hugely significant, creating a blueprint for later neo-soul artists like Erykah Badu and rappers like Outkast. Davis became a cult figure as a singer, due in part to her unabashedly sexual lyrics, liberated attitude, and performance style, which were all controversial for the time. She had success in Europe, but in the United States was barred from performing on television because of her sexually aggressive stage persona. Some of her shows were boycotted, and her songs were not played on the radio. Carlos Santana recalled Betty as indomitable. She couldn't be tamed. Musically, philosophically, and physically, she was extreme and attractive. In 1976, Davis completed another album for her label, Island Records, before being dropped and moving overseas to Japan. In 1980, her father died, which prompted her return to the U.S. to live with her mother in Pennsylvania. She lived out the rest of her days quietly until passing on February 9, 2022, at age 77. The tracks from Betty Davis's final recording sessions in 1979 were released on 2 independent albums, Crashin' from Passion in 1995 and Hangin' Out in Hollywood in 1996. A greatest hits album called Anti-Love, The Best of Betty Davis, was also released in 1995. In 2007, her debut, Betty Davis, an album, They Say I'm Different, was reissued by Light in the Attic Records. In 2009, the label reissued Nasty Gal and her unreleased 4th studio album recorded in 1976, retitled as Is It Love or Desire? All of the re-releases of her albums achieved critical acclaim. And to close out with a couple of quotes, I'm going to start with a quote from Betty Davis herself. In a 1970s radio interview, asked to characterize her music, Davis let her answer slowly crackle. She said, I'd just say it was raw. Love that, raw. And a second quote, Christopher Strollo, an audio engineer who worked on her documentary, said, one of the famous statements from Miles Davis was that Betty was Prince and Madonna before Prince and Madonna. They were considered groundbreaking in the frank sexuality in their music and how they represented themselves to an audience in a burlesque sort of way. She was doing that way before them and more boldly than anyone at the time, and she got into a lot of trouble for it. And that is Betty Davis, a hidden figure. Please, please, please be sure to check out the links and information in the description box and to check out her music. She's amazing, incredible, talented, genius, icon. And she recently passed away, so may she rest in peace and power. Food for thought as always. I'll see you guys tomorrow with another hidden figure. Peace.